You hit the number. The one you swore would fix everything. 50,000, 250,000, a million, whatever your version was. You remember exactly where you were when you saw it clear. And then, nothing. No fireworks, no relief, no exhale. Just a slightly bigger number sitting where the old one used to be, and you checking your phone again 10 minutes later, like it might have changed its mind. This is the strangest level in the entire hierarchy, stranger than any dollar amount before it. It's the one between having enough and feeling like you do. Almost nobody talks about it. Not the finance channels, not your family, not the version of you that used to dream about this exact number. And it has a name. You check your account. It's the number. The actual number you used to stare at on your phone at 2 a.m., doing math on a future that felt impossible, rearranging the same 3 digits like they might rearrange themselves into something you could afford. It's just sitting there now, and you feel almost nothing. Maybe a flicker, gone before you can name it. Then it's gone completely, and you're checking your email like it's any other Tuesday, like a number you chased for a decade just quietly clocked out. Or maybe it's this. You tell a friend, "We're good now. We don't need to worry about that anymore." And you mean it when you say it. And then 20 minutes later, standing in the grocery store under fluorescent light, you're comparing the price of 2 brands of rice out of pure reflex, running the same mental math you ran for years. The same reflex you had when you actually did need to worry, on a decision that no longer needs deciding. Or it's 11 p.m., and you're lying in bed doing math again. Except this time it's not, "Can I afford this?" It's math on things you already own. Recalculating a decision that's already finished, over and over, like checking a lock you already know is locked. Auditing a win as if it were a threat that's still coming. Maybe it's all 3. Maybe it's a version of all 3 that happens on a Tuesday you won't even remember by Friday, quietly, without anyone noticing, including you. Sound familiar? You didn't do anything wrong. Something in your head just hasn't caught up with your bank account yet, and it's not going to. Not on its own, not without you doing something about it. Here's what that isn't. It isn't ingratitude. It isn't a discipline problem. It isn't you being broken or spoiled or ungrateful for something you used to pray for on nights when the number in your head was 0. It's a documented pattern with a name, the Arrival Fallacy, the gap between reaching a goal and actually feeling like you've reached it. Researchers have watched this happen in lottery winners, in people who paid off the house, in founders the week their company finally sold. The number changes. The feeling doesn't show up on schedule. And it's not one mechanism doing that. It's 5 stacked on top of each other, each one quietly running in the background the moment you cross the line from not enough into enough. I'm going to name every one of them in the order they hit. Baseline reset, identity lag, goalpost transfer, threat system idle, the silence effect. None of these 5 need you to have a specific number in the bank. They start the moment any gap you've been living in for years finally closes. A debt paid off, a job landed, a relationship that stopped being a source of dread. Money is just the clearest example, because the number makes the gap so easy to point at. By the time I'm done, you'll know exactly why enough doesn't feel like enough. And there's one specific thing you can do about it, before the ending, that doesn't involve waiting for a feeling to eventually show up. Let's start with the fastest one. The one that starts working on you before you've even finished celebrating. The first thing happens almost instantly. Baseline reset. Here's what it looks like from the outside. You get the raise, or the number finally clears. The first week, you notice everything. You actually look at furniture you like. You order the thing without checking the price twice. It feels almost illegal, like you're getting away with something. You catch yourself smiling at a receipt. 3 weeks later, that same salary is just your salary. The furniture is just furniture, already scuffed at the corner, already part of the room instead of a symbol of anything. The thing you ordered without flinching is now the baseline, and you're eyeing the next thing you can't quite afford yet, the way you used to eye the thing that used to feel impossible. Here's what's happening inside. Your brain's job was never to make you happy at a number. Its job is to give you a new 0 point, so it can keep measuring the next gain. That's it. That's the entire assignment, and it does it whether you asked for that or not. Psychologists call the outside version of this hedonic adaptation, but the money version is sharper because the number is so concrete, so easy to check, so easy to compare against yesterday's number. The finish line you sprinted toward for years gets absorbed into normal in about the time it takes to update a spreadsheet, and nobody warns you that's the deal you're signing up for. Here's what it does to your money. You keep chasing the next number at exactly the same emotional distance as the last one, because the finish line didn't just move once the way you might expect. It moves every single time, automatically, quietly, without asking you, without a ceremony, without so much as a receipt. Try this test on yourself. Think about the last time you got a bonus, closed a deal, or watched a number tick over into something that used to feel unreachable. Count how many days passed before you stopped opening the app just to look at it, just to feel something from it. For most people, it's under 2 weeks. That's not a character flaw, and it's not you being ungrateful for something you worked years toward. That's baseline reset running exactly on schedule, resetting your 0 point faster than you could ever enjoy standing at the old one. But that's not even the strangest part, because while your bank balance updated in a second, something else in you, something slower, something that doesn't run on a spreadsheet, didn't update at all. That something is identity lag. Here's what it looks like. You're standing in a checkout line, and you catch yourself comparing the price of 2 brands of rice. The exact habit you built over years of genuinely needing to. Except now you don't need to, and some part of you knows that and does the math anyway. Or you catch yourself apologizing out loud for a $6 coffee to nobody for no reason anyone asked, explaining a purchase that doesn't require an explanation to a cashier who wasn't judging you in the first place. Here's the mechanism. Your bank statement is a number. Your identity is a story, one you built over years, sentence by sentence, every time money was tight, every time a bill scared you. I'm someone who has to be careful. I'm someone who doesn't get to relax about this. I'm someone this doesn't happen to. That story doesn't update when the account does. It updates on its own timeline, sometimes months behind the number, sometimes years, sometimes never, unless you go in and edit the file yourself, on purpose, with evidence. Here's the money cost. You keep underspending on things that would genuinely help you now, hoarding against a threat that no longer exists, guarding a version of a future that already changed. Or you swing the other way and overcorrect all at once, spending in a way that doesn't match the calm, careful person the money is supposed to let you become. Watch for the specific moment it shows up. It's not in the big decisions, the ones you deliberate over. It's in the small, automatic ones. The coupon you clip out of habit, the flight you book economy without even glancing at the upgrade, the gift you underbuy because a smaller number still feels safer, even though nothing about your situation asked you to be safe anymore. And here's the part almost nobody expects. If the number moves but the identity doesn't, the drive that got you here doesn't just switch off and go quiet. It goes looking for somewhere new to attach, and it finds somewhere fast. That's Goalpost Transfer. Here's what it looks like. You hit the exact target you set 5 years ago, the one you used to picture in detail, right down to how it would feel. Within days, sometimes hours, you're already comparing yourself to someone one tier up, or quietly pricing out the next milestone, the bigger house, the higher number, before you've even let the first one sink in, before the ink is dry on the win you just had. Here's the mechanism. The number was never actually the finish line, even though you spent years treating it like one. It was a stand-in for something else. Safety, proof that you're not behind, permission to stop feeling like an imposter in your own life. Money is concrete and countable, so your mind used it as a placeholder for something that was never about money at all. The moment the placeholder gets reached, the real want, the one underneath it, the one that was actually driving you, doesn't get satisfied. It just reattaches to a new placeholder, quietly, without your permission, because the actual thing it wanted was never for sale in the first place. Here's the cost. You get a lifetime of finish lines and 0 arrivals. And each one, if you're not careful, starts feeling smaller and shorter than the last, until the whole climb starts to feel like it's happening to someone else. You can spot it by asking one honest question. If you hit this exact number tomorrow, and someone told you that was the ceiling, permanently, would you feel relief? Or would some part of you immediately start negotiating for more? If it's the second one, that's not a personal failing. That's Goalpost Transfer doing exactly what it's built to do, on schedule, whether the number was 50,000 or 5 million. But there's a reason this reattachment happens so fast, in almost everyone, on almost every income level, and it isn't ambition. It's a system in you that was never built with an off switch. That system is Threat System Idle. Here's what it looks like. For years, part of your brain ran a constant background scan, checking the account, anticipating the bill, bracing for the shortfall before it happened, treating every unopened envelope like it might be the one. That scanning didn't come with an instruction manual for what to do once the actual threat was gone. So it doesn't stop. It just runs with nothing left to scan for. And a threat detector with nothing outside it to detect starts looking for a target inside instead, because a system built only to scan doesn't know how to simply rest. Here's the mechanism. That target becomes you. Do you deserve this? Are you actually working hard enough to justify it? Is this going to get taken away? And if it does, will it be your fault somehow, even if you can't say how? It's the same vigilance that used to keep you safe, now running an audit on a win instead of a warning on a threat. Because it was never built to idle, only to scan, and idle was never on the list of things it learned to do. Here's the cost. Guilt-driven spending in one direction, or punishing underspending in the other, both driven by a system convinced something is still wrong, even when, for the first time in your life, nothing actually is. You've probably felt this without naming it. You buy something you can genuinely afford, and instead of enjoying it, some part of you starts building a case, checking if it was really necessary, comparing yourself to a version of you that would have made the responsible choice, treating a perfectly ordinary purchase like evidence in a trial only you are running. That's the audit. It doesn't need a real accusation to convene. It just needs a system with nothing left to guard against, so it starts guarding against you. And this one runs loud, entirely on the inside, which is exactly why almost nobody says a word about it out loud, even to the people closest to them. Which brings us to the last one. The last mechanism is the silence effect. Here's what it looks like. Every video you've watched about money, every book, every conversation with people also trying to get there, all of it was about the climb. How to save, how to earn more, how to survive the version of you that didn't have enough yet, one budget, one side hustle, one hard year at a time. Nobody made you anything about what happens the week after you land, because almost nobody who has landed talks about it out loud. Here's the mechanism. There's no map for arrival, no shared vocabulary, no friend who's modeled out loud what it's supposed to feel like. So when you get there and feel confused instead of satisfied, your brain draws the only conclusion it has evidence for. Something is wrong with you. Specifically, personally, uniquely. Not that this is a completely normal, completely undiscussed stage that almost everyone who arrives goes through in total silence, believing they're the only one confused by a finish line. Here's the cost. Isolation. At the exact moment you finally have room to breathe and people to lean on. Second-guessing a win nobody warned you would feel like this. And sometimes manufacturing a brand new struggle, a new deadline, a new crisis, a new number to chase, just to get back to a stage that at least came with instructions. This is why naming the other 4 mechanisms actually matters, and isn't just a psychology lesson. The moment you have words for baseline reset, identity lag, goalpost transfer, and threat system idle, the silence effect loses its main power. The assumption that you're the only one going through this, in a stage nobody else has ever mapped. None of this means something is broken in you. It means your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do. Measure distance to a threat, track a moving goalpost, protect a version of you that doesn't exist anymore and hasn't for a while. It's not malfunctioning, it's just slow to get the memo that the job changed, the way any system is slow when nobody tells it the assignment is over. Here's the one shift that actually closes the gap, instead of waiting years for identity lag to catch up on its own schedule, which may never come. Stop asking what's next. For 1 week, ask a different question instead. What already changed? Name one bill you paid without the old dread. One decision you made from calm instead of fear. One moment you didn't do the mental math out of habit and caught yourself not doing it. Write them down if you have to, not for anyone else, just so the evidence exists somewhere outside your head. This works on all 5 mechanisms at once, not just identity lag. Every piece of evidence you name is one less thing for threat system idle to audit. One less silence for the silence effect to fill with the wrong conclusion. One less reason for the goalpost to move before you've noticed they moved. That's not a feel-good exercise. That's you manually editing the file identity lag was supposed to update on its own. One piece of actual evidence at a time, instead of waiting for a feeling that was never going to arrive by itself, no matter how long you gave it. But there's a darker cousin to all 5 of these, and it doesn't stay in the background the way the others do. Because for some people, that quiet, unspoken audit from threat system idle doesn't stay quiet. It turns into something they do on purpose. A spending spree that has nothing to do with wanting the thing on the shelf, and everything to do with silencing the guilt of having enough at all. That's a different level entirely. The one where money stops being about safety, or status, or arrival, and quietly becomes a punishment you hand yourself, on your own terms, without ever calling it that out loud. Nobody warns you that guilt can spend money too, faster and less carefully than desire ever did. And by the time you notice the pattern, it usually already has a name of its own, one nobody in your life has said out loud either. That's next.